The time is precisely 8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Lal Malabarachi and read by Rumesh Piris. First, the headlines. The results of the GCE Advanced Level Examination will be released in August. The Grade 5 Scholarship Examination to be held on the 27th of November this year. The World Bank agrees to provide $110 million to purchase fertilizer. The Kandakadu inmate's death ruled as blunt force trauma. Minister of Energy says kerosene oil prices will be increased in the near future. Litrogas Lanka says gas shipment is delayed until July 9th. The government to utilize prisoners and rehabilitation center inmates for agri-work. In news overseas, Japan pledges maximum support for Ukraine at its recovery conference. In sports, it's cricket. England nonchalantly complete record chase of 378 to beat India of the fifth test at Edgbaston. Now the local news in detail. The Education Minister Susil Primajayantha says that the results of the 2021 GCE Advanced Level Examination will be released in August. Addressing the Parliament, the Minister said arrangements have been made to hold this year's GCE Advanced Level Examination in November 28 to December 23rd. The Minister said the GCE Ordinary Level Examination 2022 will be held in April to May next year. The Minister added that the Grade 5 Scholarship Examination will be held on the 27th of November this year. The World Bank has agreed to provide $110 million to purchase fertilizer to Sri Lanka, Agriculture Minister Mahinda Amaraweera said today, as the country is facing a looming food shortage amid an economic crisis. Sri Lanka's fertilizer shortage has hit the production of its staple food, rice, and the price of rice has already more than doubled due to supply shortage. The rice production has reduced by up to 40% in the last Maha cultivation season, ended in February this year, the government has said. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's decision to make the country only organic cultivation by banning chemical fertilizer hit farmers as well as consumers due to lower production. The ban was lifted in November last year, but the country could not import any fertilizer as it does not have dollars. The cause of death of the inmate at the Kandakadu Treatment and Rehabilitation Center has been determined as blunt force trauma. The individual's post-mortem examination was conducted at the Polonnaruwa District General Hospital today. Meanwhile, Commissioner General of Rehabilitation, Major General Darshana Hettiarachchi said he received the investigation report pertaining to the incident at the Kandakadu Rehabilitation Centre today. The Major General said the report will be handed over to Minister of Justice Vijayadasa Rajapaksa tomorrow. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news. The Minister of Energy, Kanchana Wijesekara, says the price of kerosene oil will be increased in the future. Speaking in Parliament today, the Minister said a litre of kerosene oil is currently being sold at 87 rupees. The Minister noted that the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation incurs a cost of 420 rupees per litre of kerosene oil and therefore claimed the price per litre will be increased. Litrogas Lanka Limited announced today that the 3,724 metric ton shipment of gas scheduled to reach the country will be delayed due to inclement weather conditions. They said the ship is due to sail into the country between July 6th and 8th. However, due to unpredictable turbulent weather conditions, the ship is due to be here on July 9th. This gas shipment is to reach us upon an agreement signed between Litrogas Lanka Limited and the World Bank to bring in 100,000 metric tons of gas into the country. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to the main news story, the government is discussing the possibility of utilizing prisoners and detainees in drug rehabilitation centers for agriculture as the country faces a possible food shortage due to the ban on chemical fertilizer. The program aims to convert prisoners into a valuable human resource for the country, a cabinet statement released on Tuesday, July 5th said, with no elaboration on whether they will be compensated for their labor. And that came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Watchlight this evening, the Director General of Health Services, Consultant Dr. Asedagunawardena, says that there is a risk of emerging new variations of COVID-19. He said, therefore, all persons over 20 years must obtain the 4th booster dose. Meanwhile, 13 COVID-19 infected persons have been identified today, while 1 death was reported. And that came to you in Watchlight. A bulletin of world news is coming up. First, the headlines of the world news. Japan pledges maximum support for Ukraine at its recovery conference. NATO allies sign accession protocols for Sweden and Finland. The family of Shireen Abu Akleh says US report on journalist's death is unacceptable. Now the world news in detail. Delegates from countries at the Ukraine Recovery Conference have outlined their plans to help the country rebuild from the devastation inflicted by Russia's invasion. Japan's State Minister for Foreign Affairs Suzuki Takako was among the delegates who spoke today at the event in Lugano, southern Switzerland. Representatives from the governments of Ukraine and about 40 other countries are taking part. The World Bank and other international bodies are also participating. NATO's 30 member countries have signed accession protocols for Finland and Sweden. The two countries will be able to join the alliance once the parliaments of the member nations ratify the protocols. NATO held a signing ceremony at its headquarters in Brussels, Belgium today, with foreign ministers from the two northern European countries in attendance. NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg welcomed their membership bids, calling it a historic moment for Finland, Sweden and the alliance. NATO accession must be approved by all 30 members for new countries to be accepted into the alliance. Shireen Abu Akleh's brother has heavily criticized a US report that concluded unintentional Israeli gunfire was likely to have been responsible for the Palestinian-American reporter's death. Tony Abu Akleh told the BBC the findings were unacceptable and insisted his sister was targeted by Israeli troops. The Al Jazeera correspondent was shot in the head while covering an Israeli raid in the occupied West Bank in May. The US said the bullet was too damaged to tell where it had been fired from. Back to the headlines of the world news. Japan pledges maximum support for Ukraine at its recovery conference. NATO allies signs accession protocols for Sweden and Finland. And family of Shireen Abu Akleh says US report on journalist's death is unacceptable. And that concludes world news. Continuing on to development news, the National Youth Brigade has introduced a preschool one-year full-time teacher training course for unemployed youth. Prospective candidates should be between the ages of 18 to 28 and should be in possession of GCE Advanced Level Certificate. More information is available via the hotline 0701 661 661. And that was development news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank, we present your future.
Moving on to sports, it's cricket. England nonchalantly completed a record chase of 378 to beat India in rapid time on the final morning of the 5th Test at Edgbaston. Centuries from Joe Root and Johnny Bairstow took England to their highest successful pursuit in Test cricket and the 9th largest in the history of the game. Needing another 119 from their overnight 259 for 3, Root and Bairstow coasted with incredible ease, taking England to a memorable 7-wicket win, one of their all-time greatest victories. Bairstow's 114 not out was his second century of the match, while Root ended unbeaten on 142 in an unbroken partnership of 269. They carried England to a new height in what is turning into a spectacular summer under new captain Ben Stokes and coach Brendan McCullum. The win ensures a series that was postponed last summer is drawn 2-2, but more importantly, it is the greatest validation to date of England's ultra-positive approach to Test cricket. Their next series is with South Africa in August, and that came to you in sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, the government is considering monetary incentives for migrant workers to discourage informal money transactions such as undia, as many Sri Lankan expatriates are still not ready to use formal banking channels. Cabinet spokesman Bandula Gunawardena said the country's foreign remittances have fallen 53.1% in the first 5 months of this year compared to the same period in 2021 to $1.34 billion, as many expatriates are either keeping their foreign earnings with them in foreign currency or sent via undial due to higher rate compared to official bank rates. And that came to you in business news.
Business news sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
In economic news, the Colombo Stock Exchange data showed Sri Lanka stocks down over 1% within the first hour of trade today. The main all-share price index slipped to 1.19% or 87.26 to 7,272.29 at 11:30 hours. Most liquid index 1.78% or 41.79 points to 2,303.29. The market generated a turnover of 584 million rupees. And that was economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
And finally, on to the weather report. The Met Department forecast showers will occur at times in the Sabaragama province and in Kandy, Nuwara Eliya, Galle and Matara districts. Several spells of showers will occur in the western and northwestern provinces. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in the Uba province and in Ampara and Batiklo districts during the afternoon or night. Strong winds, about 50 km per hour, can be expected at times in the western slopes of the Central Hills, western, southern and northwestern provinces. And that was the weather report. And to end this news bulletin, a recap of the main news headlines. The results of the GCE Advanced Level Examination will be released in August. The Grade 5 Scholarship Examination to be held on the 27th of November this year. The World Bank agrees to provide $110 million to purchase fertilizer. The Kandakandu inmate death ruled as blunt force trauma. The Minister of Energy says kerosene oil prices will be increased in the near future. Petrogas Nanga says gas shipment is delayed until the July 9th. The government to utilize prisoners and rehabilitation center inmates for agri-work. In news overseas, Japan pledges maximum support for Ukraine at its recovery conference. And in sports, it's cricket. England nonchalantly complete record chase of 378 to beat India of the 5th test at Edgbaston. And with that, we conclude this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.